Before this video officially starts, I want to say that this video and the next one are technically going to be a part 1 and a part 2, if you really think about it. Though I won't title them part 1 and part 2, they both revolve around me trying to replace the same truly irreplaceable friend, and they take place just weeks after each other. So that's what I mean by technically a part 1 and part 2. So yeah, enjoy. Welcome to my humble abode. How are you doing on this mundane day? Good, I hope. You know how when somebody throws something into like a trash can or something, or clothes into a laundry basket, they yell, Kobe? Well, technically, if you think about it, you could also replace Kobe with Cobain, because he didn't miss his shot. Today's story takes place, I want to say, in the year 2017. I have two friends on Xbox who are my bestest friends I've ever had in my life, right next to Chunk and like two others I know in person. These two are my longest friends and the ones I've spent the most time with. One of them is named Nova. She actually has a YouTube channel, so you should totally check it out. She makes Nightcore, posts some funny memes, and in the other one, I'm just gonna call Fat Kanda. You know why I'm calling you Fat Kanda. We were a friend group on Xbox and played pretty much every day without exaggeration. If I wasn't hanging out with Chunk or my wife, then I was on Xbox with these two silly billies. Sad maybe, but I was one of those loner kids who got picked on at school and especially at home. So making friends was very tough for me. I didn't have a true friend in person until I was 13, for example. Back in the first time poking Smot video, I think it was that one, I mentioned that I had hundreds of friends online and in person that randomly blocked me and stopped liking me. The online part was 100% true. I had tons and tons of Xbox friends here and there. You know, you get 100 friends in total on Xbox 360, and people you don't play with, you eventually remove, or like I'm complaining about, they remove me and block me out of the random. So I've had, having to fill up that 100 friends list again. I was always like, oh, I would need 100 friends. So yeah, let's just say I tried to make a lot of friends on Xbox, but in person, it was a whole different story. It, I didn't have, like I said, I had only like my one friend. He was my first ever like best friend in person, and that wasn't until I was 13. In elementary school, I was more picked on by a lot of the kids. I was seen as like that gross kid. I remember one time in particular that helped feed that narrative was I was talking to one of the popular girls about something. She's like, didn't like me because I was gross. And you know how sometimes you talk and spit just sometimes just flies out of your mouth? Yeah, that happened to me, and she went, ooh, and even like spread it around to her friends that I was just so gross. It was not a fun time. From, I want to say, like first grade to sixth grade, when we had a recess, I would always just walk around by myself on the edge of the school line. Like I would be at the school, and then I'd just walk around to the gate, and then walk all the way over to the corner of that gate, and I would just, circle around, or I guess in this case, square around. That was my ring that hit the table, if you heard that. So at this point of time in 2017, we had a big, well, let's just say, dysfunctional group, I would say. Me and Nova got into a big fight. I'm not gonna get into details, personal stuff, but we ended up just beefing, not liking each other, and um, she ended up blocking me. She ended up blocking me for a whole it was like probably 9 months or so, 9 months to a year. So this is where the story takes place pretty much. And Fat Kanda, he was actually gone for 2 months himself at this point, so I was completely alone. It was rather he was camping, or he was with his family on vacation, or as you would call it in any other country, holiday. Since pretty much my only friend was away, I had nothing else to do, so I went onto Roblox to try to have some fun. Maybe temporarily play with some people so I could have a blast. After about 2 hours of playing, to be honest, I don't remember what Roblox game I played. I was really big into tycoon games, so I was probably playing one or two of those when I met the subject of today's video. I'm going to refer to him as Derek. I remember going into the leaderboard of the game I was playing and inviting everyone in the game to a party so I could make some new friends. Out of the 3 people I invited, it was Derek and only Derek to join my party. Once he joined, I was excited because maybe he could replace Nova at the time we were fighting. I quickly asked how he was doing, trying to sound inviting to him so I could make a new friend and I want to scare him away. At first, he didn't say anything. It was an awkward minute of silence before anything happened. It made me think he was somebody who didn't have a mic, which was absolutely fine with me. I've had countless friends on Xbox who've never had a mic the whole time I've ever played that with them. So the whole time we ever talked was I would be talking through my mic or Xbox. See, that's how shitty the Xbox Connect is. I can't even fucking say that correctly. They would only be able to reply back with text messages or Minecraft signs whenever we were playing Minecraft. One of my favorite friends I've ever had was one of these guys. He was my friend for like 6 years, and not one time did I ever hear his voice. I don't remember why we stopped talking. I think it was just due to a multitude of things, like I went on to Xbox One, he could have sold his Xbox or just stopped playing it, and I went full time playing with Nova and Fat Kanda once I introduced the dinguses to each other. Once our friend group became official, I had no other friends. I don't know about them, but honestly, they didn't have any friends either. I'm going to say it. I know I said I didn't know, but I'm going to say I know now because there's no way they had other friends for the amount of time we've played together, because it was, like I said, pretty much every single day, all day long, we would play rather GTA or Minecraft, or we would try something out every once in a while, but it was usually always Minecraft and GTA. After that painstaking 2 minutes of silence, I heard his mic plug in. That's when his deep-ass voice dropped on my ears harder than Little Boy did in Hiroshima. He didn't have a crazy deep voice like Andre the Giant, but I was still a squeaker trying to find my voice, like Chip Skylark says. So his bit of a deeper voice caught me off guard. He introduced himself, and at first he was kind of awkward, but I mentioned something that sparked his interest to talk about, and from there we became friends. I usually played Minecraft or GTA at the time, like I said, and I tried to get him to play both of them, but get this. Get this. I asked him if he wanted to play Minecraft. Guess what he said? And I quote, "Nah, bruh. Minecraft is a pussy game."
Yo, is this person fucking retarded?
I was bummed because, well, I like Minecraft, but also I was confused and replied with, "Yet you play Roblox?" And then he started breathing in heavy amounts of copium and tried to argue that Roblox is less of a kid's game than Minecraft. Yeah, I'm not sure what he was smoking, but regardless, I found myself playing Roblox more and more often because that's pretty much all he wanted to play. I didn't really like playing Roblox. It's honestly just an average time killer style of game for me. So there were attempts of branching out and playing other games. I got him onto GTA once, but he was super uninterested and kind of made it a very awkward experience by just standing around not talking, or he'd give me short replies on anything I said, like 2-3 word sentences, sometimes not even saying yeah. It felt like he was very deliberately doing this just so we didn't have to play GTA anymore. It worked. Defeated, I shrugged my shoulders and accepted that Roblox was just gonna be my future. Almost 2 weeks later, an absolute legend arrives. Wait, hold up. I got something wrong. I forgot. Fat Kanda, he wasn't camping or on holiday, as I said. So now you may be wondering where Fat Kanda was in all of this friend searching. Suspended is where. Me and Fat Kanda sometimes would get really mad at each other and would do some really fuck ass shit just to piss each other off. Sometimes it was extremely scummy, like we here. I'll tell you. Sometimes, one time I called him a little bitch in an Xbox chat just because we were fighting about something, and he reported it, resulting in me getting suspended for a couple days. So, as revenge, about a week or so later, I baited him into cussing into an Xbox chat and reported his ass, also resorting in him getting suspended not too long after. The difference between us was that was my first and only suspension on Xbox at all. And it only lasted like a couple days, I think. This wasn't his first though, so he was gone for like 2 whole months. I think I got him suspended twice doing this method, and this was the actual last time because it made me realize, well, shit, I have no friends anymore, so I fucked myself pretty much. Anyway, back to the story. Fat Kanda surprised me by just joining our party completely out of the blue. Surprise, motherfucker! I'm here. He didn't say that, but that's what it felt like. And I didn't care because I was just ecstatic to see him. Finally, I finally have a friend again. It was terrible not having one. I introduced them hoping they'd get along and we'd have a new friend group in Nova's absence. Finally, we can have a group again. But sadly, my hopes died once Derek immediately started making fun of Fat Kanda's voice and started attacking him personally without even knowing what he looks like in person. All because his voice was 2 pitches higher than mine. My voice wasn't very deep. I mean, listen to me now. It's not that deep, trust me. Me at 14, obviously it's going to be a lot lighter. They fought and argued until Fat Kanda left, and I mean, I don't blame him. He invited me to our own party, so I joined it, excited to see him again, and wanted to catch up. We talked for a minute until Derek joins the party and gets mad at me for leaving his party to talk to Fat Kanda instead. Fat Kanda said whatever, and he got offline. He didn't get offline because of Derek per se. He only hopped on originally just to tell me he was unbanned. Derek just made him leave a bit faster. After he left, Derek started to talk mad shit about Fat Kanda. Like, this dude was talking so much shit, and he phrased it in a way that it was like both of us were talking shit about him. It was like he was trying to gaslight me into thinking Fat Kanda was a bad guy. I, however, didn't buy that and wasn't happy about it. And he just would argue and argue and argue, so I gave up and just said whatever. A week goes by, and it's apparent that every time Derek was online, I'd have to join his party or he'd basically harass me to no end, spamming me with invites and messages saying that I was an asshole for ignoring him and shit, you know. It was to a point I couldn't even play with Fat Kanda unless Derek was offline. I felt obligated to play with Derek because he fed me a narrative about his life being so bad and tragic. He said that his dad walked out on him, his mom was abusive, he had 3 younger brothers he was taking care of, and how he was paying all the bills and stuff by himself, the only one working. Essentially, he was a troubled soul with no friends that could be mean sometimes, but deep down just needs a friend to be there for him. And if I wasn't there, then, oh boy, he'd talk about how much of an asshole I was. But it eventually became too much to bear. I started getting really tired of his shit to the point where I started giving him more attitude and started like talking back. I originally didn't just because back then I had like no backbone and I was so desperate to have like new friends and stuff. But at the same time, you could see like I was blatantly ignoring Fat Kanda for this guy. But like I said, he fed me this narrative that he was this poor soul. And as a 14-year-old who's desperately wanting friends, was it 14? No, wait a minute, I wasn't 14. This was set 2017. What am I smoking? I gotta do some quick math right here. Hold on. Okay, I was only a year up. I was only 15. I was gonna be 16 when it hit October of that year. My birthday's in October, by the way. So that's pretty cool. I think. Um, anyway, talking to Fat Kanda and actually having conversations that wasn't all me reminded myself what real friends were. I felt he knew I was getting tired of his shit, and so he pulled the ultimate scumbag move. It genuinely does not get more scummy than this. Type down in the comments below what you think it is before you watch further. I want to know because I want you to guess. What do you think this dude told me to manipulate me to continue being his friend? Go ahead, comment it. One day, we were playing a tycoon game on Roblox. Cringily enough, it was a FNAF one. And out of the blue, not when we started playing, he dropped the bombshell. He told me in a serious tone, "Hey, I have something to tell you." Intrigued, like, huh? He doesn't usually talk like that. I asked him, "What's up? What's going on, man?" After a few seconds of silence, he says, "I was diagnosed with cancer yesterday, and the doctor said I only have a few weeks to live." Seriously. Those were his exact words, his exact tone. I tried so hard not to smile saying it just because of the absurdity of it. I hope I sold it well, but this dude was pulling out the pulling out the cancer card against me. After a few minutes of him continuously like in that serious voice saying I have cancer, whatever, like just saying that he actually did, I went from thinking it was a joke and laughing to hyperventilating and freaking out because I was annoyed at him for being an asshole, but he was still like a friend. In the toxic one, yes, and at the time I should have dipped on him, but to me it was like, how could I dip on somebody when they're about to die of cancer? You just can't do that without being an actual like horrible person. Obviously, if the a person is like a piece of shit and whatever, it's fine. But I was a kid, and being told that my best friend was gonna die in a few weeks, a few days, whatever, of cancer, I was in full panic. I started crying. It was terrifying. Fun fact, my first time around on YouTube, I was a gaming Let's Play channel. I used to post full gaming videos on this channel, and being friends with him during that time, obviously I posted a video about it. I sobbed in the video, couldn't keep my words straight, just explaining that my friend is gonna die of cancer in a few weeks. I've never lost anyone important to me back then, and I was only like I said 15, so safe to say I was a mess. He even liked the video and commented on it saying thank you. So I played with him as much as I could for the next week, always asking how he was doing, consistently trying to get as much updates as possible, just to, you know, possibly hear that, oh, they came up with this thing to save him. I asked him what kind of cancer he had, and all he said was liver. Other than that, every other time I'd ask something, he'd give some weird answer. Example, My question would be, should you not waste your time, you know, your ever fleeting time playing Xbox because you only have a few weeks to live? His answer, just because I'm dying doesn't mean I don't want to play video games. I mean, fair, but he said it in an annoyed tone. He started getting a bit agitated and changed the subject. I didn't really read too much into it at the time because I thought my friend was gonna die and that's all I was focused on. If he wanted to play some Xbox with me, then fuck it, I will. I remember telling Fat Kanda and he was pretty apathetic. He felt bad more for me, not really for Derek. I'm not saying that he was over the moon actively counting down the days for him to die or whatever. It's just Derek was an absolute stranger to him, an asshole stranger at that, so it makes sense. The next part I'm gonna tell you is 100% serious, so I'm not gonna have any jokes to make. I debated on putting this part in the video because of how messed up it was. It's something I think back on that just makes me feel sick and have a million questions for. A couple days go by, and I don't know what we were doing this day or anything we were talking about, but Derek did something you wouldn't really expect. I used to text him and other close friends on Instagram whenever we were playing Xbox, or all my Xbox friends, pretty much. And he was no different, of course. On this day, I was playing Roblox with Derek, the usual, but this time it was a little different. He said he said he took a few shots and was having a blast being drunker than a skunker. At some point of us playing, he chuckled a bit and told me to look at a meme he sent me on Instagram. I picked up my phone and opened up our conversation just to be met with a picture of his dick. I was 15, and this dude was at least 19 years older or older. Grossed out, I immediately say, bro, what the fuck? After a second, he nonchalantly goes, oh, sorry, I meant to send you a meme, my bad, dog. All slurred. Still disgusted, I was like, okay. And then he proceeds to talk about something else and got off track of the subject. And no, he didn't delete the picture, nor did he send a meme afterwards. That had me up late at night, just feeling very uncomfortable. I checked both of my old Instagrams, and thankfully, I deleted the chats long ago. So that's good. I started to question a few things. One being if it really was a mistake, and two, if he really had cancer at all. Throughout the time between him revealing the quote unquote cancer and this night, he never one time sounded ill or tired. He sounded healthy. He was always full of life. Around 2 days go by, and I asked for an update on how his situation is doing with his cancer. He told me in a monotone voice that his cancer was getting better, and not only better, but he actually almost was completely healed, as you would say. He almost completed the road to recovery, pretty much saying that he was gonna live and be perfectly fine. Instead of being happy that he wasn't gonna die, I was perplexed and angry. Now, if you just get diagnosed with stage 4 cancer and the doctor tells you that you have a few weeks left to live, you're gonna die in a short couple weeks, then just 2 or 3 weeks later, say that you're gonna make a full recovery while not feeling ill or weak, or at least sounding it during that whole time that you were supposedly dying, you're gonna come off as very suspicious. And this boy was so suspicious, even I couldn't ignore it any longer. I asked him if he was serious, and again, with barely any emotion, he confirmed. A simple, mm-hmm. That's when I flat out said, bullshit. Confused, he asked what I meant by that, and I accused him of faking cancer right off the bat. You'd think he'd get mad for me for being such an asshole, to accuse him of, faking his life-altering or life-threatening illness. But no, on the contrary, actually. He was just more like, nah, bruh, I do have cancer. I got annoyed and brought up the facts. One, you sounded just fine throughout the whole time we played together after your diagnosis. Two, you choose to waste your time, your last few ever fleeting weeks on this earth, playing video games like a loony. And three, cancer can't be treated that fast, that easily. I'm not an expert in cancer knowledge nor a doctor, but even I can say you can't fix stage 4 cancer within 2 weeks after being told, sir, you're gonna die. You wouldn't believe his response. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, yes. Derek's stupid ass with the straight face. Miracles happen. After my brain got done deep frying, I went off on him again. I called him a piece of shit for faking cancer. I pretty much dropped a whole book on his head. And he was one of those guys that kept talking over me and wouldn't listen to what I had to say. So I just gave up and I was done. I told him, fuck you, go fuck yourself, and if you get cancer for real this time, then don't call me for sympathy. Harsh, but I was mad as hell. That's when I just blocked him and never spoke to him again. Part of me felt bad afterwards just because what if he actually did have cancer? That thought in the back of my head. But my worries were washed away because another ex-friend of mine who was in a party with him and a couple other people a few months later after I blocked him, uh, said something like, "Oh, that's cancer," when talking about something being shitty in a game. And my ex-friend, that wasn't him, was just like, "Oh, shouldn't you not be using the word cancer so loosely since it affected you so badly?" And he goes, "What are you talking about?" When they told me that, I had a good laugh about it, to be honest, because I knew I was right. I 100% guarantee you your money back that right after I blocked Derek, I immediately went into a party with my homeboy Fat Kanda. The moral of the story, people, is to never let a person guilt you or to manipulate you into doing anything. Especially if someone weaponizes an illness or trauma, because that's a fast block if I've ever heard one. People who fake illnesses are just as bad as people who fake being homeless, and honestly, I think it should be a crime if it isn't. You should definitely get in a lot of trouble for faking serious stuff like that, especially if you are weaponizing it against people to get what you want. I blocked him and deleted him on Instagram that same night, I'm pretty sure. And like I said, thankfully, I don't have that disgusting dick pic he sent me or anything like that. To this day, I don't know why he sent me that. Maybe it was an accident because I personally didn't feel like he was grooming me at all during any of the time we played. It was like a one and done sort of deal, you know what I mean? I was 15 now, so maybe I missed some signs, but personally, I don't feel like that I was getting groomed. But it was just like, I just felt like I should bring that up just because it's just really disgusting, honestly. Regardless, you need to be careful who you trust and who you choose to be friends with. If somebody has to make you feel bad to get their way, then the only way that they deserve to be living on is a highway. Make sure you drop a comment below. Tell me if you've ever been in a situation with someone guilting you into being their friend or have a similar experience with a shitty friend. Tell me about your day. What's your dog's name? Who's your favorite wrestler? I don't know. Look, I'm just tired of nobody commenting on my damn videos. Like, quit being lazy and comment already, you rude ass viewers. Other than that, get the fuck out of my cellar, hoe ass.